Yo, what's good, guys? We're back again, making another video, same day as the reaction, so don't even joke. But yeah, we got to talk about Evo basically now being fully owned by the Saudis, which is something that I said on the Questionable Perspective podcast with my coach, Mr. PhD Joshua. I pretty much told him, like, I've pretty much figured that they were eventually going to own it all, even though I think he said no, he didn't think they were going to, but I said there's no way they're going to just be like partners and stuff. They're going to want to own it. And it does bring up the fact that now they're expanding Evo into like 9 different events. So now we're going to have like 9 Evos a year, preferably maybe even more than that. Because I know it's what Evo Vegas, Evo Japan. Oh, let's right here: Evo Vegas, Evo Japan, Evo Europe, Evo Singapore, Evo Morocco, Evo Brazil, Evo China, Evo Middle East, and Evo Mexico. So that's in 2027, those other events are going to be added. So that's going to be 9 different Evos in this whole thing, which is crazy to me. Uh, Sajam had some stuff he said about it, and I'm not too big of a fan of Sajam, but he was speaking a lot of truth on this issue. Uh, he had a lot of good points in his video, and I'm gonna link it down below so you guys can see the full video uninterrupted. But we're gonna check out this first half, and we're gonna come right back.
Let me just ask a quick question. There's 3 Evo events right now being run, and people have a lot of issues with these events and how they're run, and like people are frustrated by the way that they're put together. Do you think tripling the amount of events they run a year plus 1 is going to make for a smooth, world-class tournament experience in your region? You think the Evo team is ready to triple their output? Do you think this seems like a normal expansion? Like, this is not a sustainable way to scale and make events that are well done. It's spray and pray. It's like definitely a quantity over quality.
Yeah, guys, like he had a good point right there. People are not really even liking the way those Evos, the first 3 Evos, are being run, and now you're adding on 9 more, and now you're adding on really like more Evos, and you're already pushing your staff to the maximum. So to me, honestly, sorry guys, I'm still gonna get over this cold. If they were gonna do this, I would suggest them kind of spreading it out instead of trying to add all these Evos in 2027. I would add maybe 1 or 2 of them, probably 2 of them in 2027. Then 2028, add another 2, and then 2029, add another 2, and then 2030, add another 2. You know, just to your front, just to get up to speed. And and he kind of brings into another point that it's definitely going to hurt a lot of the local scenes and local tournaments and stuff. Like, I'm wondering about Max Mode, like how could they just started getting international players to come, and if you're telling me Max Mode is going to fall on a day where there's another Evo going on, that those international players are not going to they're not going to come to Atlanta, Georgia. They're going to go to whatever Evo is scheduled that month. So it definitely can hurt some of the scene, and I think people aren't really thinking about it. People just looking at it as the prestige of the event. And I kind of looked at it too and said the prestige of Vegas, it's still going to be there. It may not be as strong, but it's still going to be the prestige one in Vegas. But when you start, excuse me, guys, when you start adding all these other Evos, it definitely does diminish the original Evo, regardless of how Sajan wants to put it. But I don't think, like he said, I don't think Evo's really thinking about that. I just think they're thinking about expanding their business, expanding, trying to get more money, trying to get more attention on it. But he also had some more stuff to say about that, so we're just going to jump to that part right there and let it go.
Maybe you don't care about the ownership of Evo. Let's say you think Saudi Arabia is chill. You got no problem with the ownership. All you people in the West, you give a fuck about this, but I don't care. I'm gonna get a sick event in my region, and that's all that matters. I hope you don't like your events in your region that are not Evo. Evo is the fighting game year and the fighting game calendar. Now, these events will have the most prize money all year long, so players will travel to them. And these events will be the tour stops. And you may be like, well, I have some other sick event in my region, and I'll just go to that instead of going to Evo, whatever. That's awesome, and you should go to the events in your region. But the top players or competitive players from your events will likely focus on going to big Evo events over whatever that is. No, an Evo is coming up in a country in 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months, or 6 months. And all the other events in that region are going on. Why would you go to them when you could just go to Evo? Evo is going to have more prize money. Evo is going to be the tour slot. If they still had Steam, for example, or if you're running something in Brazil, like comparing it to Battle Coliseum or any events in South America, just as a whole, same thing with China, the Middle East, Mexico, Morocco, etc., right? These events will be the largest per region. By nature of it being the Evo brand, a lot of people want to go. They're going to be tied to every single tour. They're going to have large prize pools to draw out all the competitive players. And how long until they get bored? And when they get bored, and they pull out and they stopped running stuff by like before this calendar even probably ends. You spend 3 years icing out all of the other events in your region. Evo probably downscales question mark. So you no longer have all these events in all these regions, and all the people in all these regions who ran event stop running their event anyway. Where's your grassroots TOs who are running events in the meantime?
Yeah, guys, what he was talking about right there is that a lot of the Western players and a lot of the Western, I guess the Western pros, you would say, have been the main ones complaining about the Saudis buying up Evo, which honestly, I'm like, the Japanese aren't complaining, the Koreans aren't complaining, like nobody else besides the Western players are really complaining about, the Saudis buying Evo. And I know that's more so because they're trying to be on this whole political thing, especially we got like Sonic Fox, who's like, he's just gonna go just to prove that he's a great player, even though he's gay. And honestly, I don't even think the Saudis even care because regardless of whether or not he wants to go out there waving a pride flag or whatever, they're still getting the money for it. You're still at their event. You're still paying for their entry fee. You're still giving them money. So he can go out there and roll that flag around all he wants to. They're still benefiting and they're not going to care. Now, when it comes to the Japanese and the Koreans, I think they're just looking at it as this is business. And we're going to do what makes business sense. And it makes business sense to go to these Evos because they have the biggest prize pools. So that's more money for us, more money for our scenes. Like they're not gonna care about that political stuff. They never involve their political interest into their gaming or and their work lives or professional life. The Western players seem to interject that all the time into their personal and their professional lives, and that's where a lot of the problems are coming from. Because I guarantee you, a lot of these players, excuse me, a lot of these players don't really care, but they know their fans care, so they kind of have to basically virtue signal on this whole thing. But honestly, I'm just at the point with Evo. I'm just like, if they want to up it into 20 Evos, that's their choice, man. Because I do think that a vast majority of them probably going to stay. And then he is right that eventually they could downsize, and then all of a sudden those events go bye bye. And then all those local tournaments that were going on that had been iced out by Evo, it's going to be harder for the community to rebuild because people are going to be like, well, what's the point of me doing this? Y'all people didn't come when I was doing these tournaments. Y'all rather went to Evo. So it's definitely one of those things that are going to come into the group. The scene is going to come into a lot of conflict with all these Evos going on. But I kind of think that a lot of the locals will be okay because the price of Evo is ridiculous. And if you haven't seen the price of Evo, you're going to pay for 3 games plus entry tickets and all that stuff. You're going to pay about $300. So a lot of players are going to just say, "No, I'm just not going to go." But I think it'll be fine that first year. The next couple of years after that, I'm not so sure because once you go, to me personally, once you go to a esports FGC event, it's like there's not really much difference because I went to CEO twice, I went to DreamHack twice, and I'm like, it really wasn't that different. Like it was the same stuff from the last year to the next year. It was the same stuff, same booth, same people. It was just I'm just hanging with friends. But you guys, let me know about what you think about this whole Saudi thing and them now owning Evo, and now we got 9 of them. Just let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. I'll talk to y'all guys later. Peace. I'm out.